That's Retro Fandango. That's Retro Fandango. When it's Android over iPhone and you can keep your stupid amiibo and always bashing on Nintendo. But that's Retro Fandango. That's Retro Fandango. Thanks, Retro Fandango. Wow!
Welcome, everyone, to Retro Fandango, episode number 221.
2.
I'm here. Richard's here.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to talk for probably about an hour and a half about stuff that's going on.
And then we'll stop.
And then we'll stop. It's been a while since I've talked to you, buddy. 3 weeks?
Yeah.
Has it been 3 weeks?
It's, gosh. Today's been like 4 weeks, hasn't it?
It's been a while. It's been a while. Too long. But when I left you, I was about to go into my trucking course.
Yes.
And now I'm in it. I'm in the trucking course. 2 weeks in to the trucking course.
What's the total time?
Total time? Like, you mean the amount of hours for the whole thing?
Well, you said you're 2 weeks in, so like, how much more time do you have?
6 weeks. So 6 weeks.
6 weeks. All right.
Yeah. So pretty much all the theory stuff is done. I technically have what they would call a GZ license.
GZ?
So G-class vehicles are your cars, your pickup trucks, your what else? Cars, pickup trucks, vans. You can drive a van.
Yeah, your standard.
Yeah, regular cars.
Human transport.
But I had the Z added to the license. That means I can operate air brakes. It's kind of weird because you have to be able to prove that you can operate air brakes before you go out on a road with to get your A license, like to drive A-class vehicles, which are your semi-transports and those kind of things. Steven asked if that includes buses. No, buses are C-class. You have to go and get some training and do a written test to get a C-class. But
right, what's the difference if you're transporting passengers or goods?
It's more of the type of vehicle, right? Like driving a bus is not as complicated. I'm not to disparage any bus drivers out there and the jobs that they do and the streets that they have to drive on and that. But essentially a bus in of itself is not as complicated to drive as a semi truck, which has a pivot point in it and air brakes. Buses use hydraulic brakes, which are standards in most cars. You have no, let's see, air brakes. There are air brakes on buses, but they're more of a type of parking brake. They're not applied to your regular, what we call in the business, service brakes. If you hit a brake pedal in a bus, you are putting pressure on hydraulic fluid to send to the brakes to activate them. What's this, Steven? It is weird when people are getting stabbed on buses all the time. Yeah, well, if you remember that one dude out in Manitoba, I think it was, or Alberta, I can't remember which flat province it was, but there was a guy that thought he was a god, like he was God's. I don't know, he had to do God's handiwork. He thought he was like God was telling him what to do, and God told him that the guy in seat C row 108 or whatever was a demon, and he needed to stab him several times. So he got out like a big, Crocodile Dundee knife, went up to the guy, stabbed him a few dozen times, and then cut his head off because that's what God told him to do.
Oh.
And then he tried to take off. He tried to take off in the bus, but he didn't know to take off you had to push in the pedal in order to start the bus. You had to push in the brakes to start in the bus. He didn't know that he had to do that. It was like a safety feature thing. You need someone in the seat holding down on the pedal before the bus starts. He didn't know to do that. So that's how the cops were able to contain him and able to put him down before he stabbed anyone else. Or no, he got out, actually. I think he got out on a psych thing or something. He just did like 5 years in prison or something like that. Welcome to Canada.
Hey, look at that.
There you go. Anyways, so that's what I've been up to.
Was it you who were telling me about how to break the cab in a truck?
How to break a cab in the truck.
Well, it's like when you're driving a big truck.
Mhm.
I can't remember if you told me this or if I saw it in a movie recently.
You probably saw it in a movie.
You've got the you tell me here, what's the name of it? The cab is the part with the engine, and then your trailer is behind you, right?
Yeah, so a tractor trailer.
Okay, so yeah, you have to break the trailer first, and then you brake for your cab, your actual engine.
You're sort of right in a way. So
basically, because if you're pulling a lot of weight and then you brake just the truck itself, the trailer still has the momentum to smash into the back of the truck. So you have to make sure that you brake the trailer first to slow that down.
No. Everything breaks at the you hit the pedal on you hit the pedal on the tractor and all the brakes activate. The air brakes activate all, like your brakes on the tractor and the trailer at the same time. If you were to brake the truck first, the trailer basically would slow down with you because the truck is like in front of it, but it's not really a good idea. It's a better idea to have brakes everywhere.
I do believe in the movie, which is a movie about vampires. It did cause an accident and the truck like flipped over. The trailer smashed into it.
Sure, so. Yeah.
You don't want to do that.
But what is separate are the what they call spring brakes. There's basically a big parking brake in the truck and spring brakes in the trailer. So you put on the parking brakes in the truck, that'll stop your truck from moving. Put the spring brakes in the trailer and that'll stop your trailer from moving when you're parked. You don't activate them when you're driving or anything like that. So that's sort of right. Hey, there's Deke. I met up with Deke. Deke was here in Sudbury.
Really?
Yeah. He posted it on Facebook, so you probably didn't see it, but yeah, he came.
I do not do the Facebook.
He visited Sudbury because he's a grandpa now.
Congratulations!
His daughter had a baby, so we got to meet him and his wife Sue. We got to have dinner or lunch with him at Gus's restaurant, which is a pretty cool diner in downtown Sudbury. And yeah, we spent probably an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours with him. When you got a new baby on the way and it's your first grandchild, you're kind of busy, right? You're busy doing family
eager
stuff.
To spoil.
Right. You don't have time to play with friends. You have to go and spend time with the family. So they were here for a few days, but we only got to see him for a few hours. But, it was great to see him. That was the first person I think I had met in person on the blogging family, if you will. We see each other all through cameras and everything. This was the first one I've met, other than Sarah, of course. Right.
Did you empty out that room?
I did not.
No?
No.
It seems a little sparse compared to my memory. My memory is not that great, but I kind of remember there being more
was like I guess maybe it's brighter in here, so maybe because it's the sun has stayed out longer. There were a bunch of board games that we had stacked up here, but that was just a temporary solution. And eventually I put them all in their proper place, and then I set up. This is my setup for recording vinyl to video files or audio files, so I can listen to them in the car.
Okay.
Whatnot.
All right.
Yeah. And right there.
Yes.
That's the old soundboard right there. Right there.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. Taking up space.
Not doing
Well,
it.
it's still technically on the show.
That's
we
right.
Can see it.
I told you I'd get the soundboard on the
It's
show.
a part of it.
And there it is. I kept my word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you're ready for this, but I do actually have a little bit of study for you for
Study.
for your trucking license there.
You don't have. You're gonna examine me right now.
Yep, I did I did you a favor, and I went and I looked up some stuff. I thought I'd give you a little pop quiz.
Oh boy, are they Canadian? Are they Canadian questions or
I do
American?
believe it's universal.
Okay.
I believe this is 100% universal.
Okay.
All right. We're gonna do a little test here. Just a second. I'm gonna do this high tech here and get on my phone.
By the way, I noticed that you sent that George Costanza gif where he says, "All right, you want to get nuts? Let's get nuts."
Yes, I was debating between that and the Michael Keaton.
Right. Do you think I never put that two and two together before, but I was in a Facebook conversation with my Dungeons and Dragons group, and that meme came up, the Michael Keaton one from the Batman movie. And then I saw that, and I thought, was Costanza quoting the Batman movie, or was that just?
It's possible.
Like, it's not a direct quote. It's in the area, but they would do that all the time on Seinfeld, right? Like, they would talk about Star Trek 2, but they never quoted Star Trek 2 directly. Other than
there are examples in Seinfeld of them mimicking scenes from other movies, like they did the JFK bullet thing, with the spit, and then there was one that I'm still not really familiar with. There was Jerry and Kramer in the back of a bus, and that was like a scene from some movie that I've not seen.
The Graduate, I think.
No, not the Graduate scene. It's him like consoling Kramer and trying to like get him to wake up or something. There's videos all on like Seinfeld references to movies and things, but I don't believe I saw that one listed. But it's what I think of when I hear that line, because the Batman '89 is the first time I remember hearing someone say that phrase.
Right.
In that way. Anyway.
Yes.
Okay, are you ready here?
I'm ready.
We're going to test your knowledge of trucker lingo.
Oh, okay. No. All right. None of this has been covered in any of my classes. So.
Okay. Well, I'm glad I'm here to get you ready.
All right.
Okay. Tell me if you know what any of these things are. You're sitting. You got to imagine yourself in the cab.
Yep.
With your CB radio.
We use two-way radios now. CBs are kind of
with
antiquated.
Your sleeves all rolled up and your Bud Light hat. Get yourself in the mood.
Cigarettes, right there.
Yes, right there.
I don't smoke, but I'm gonna keep a pack of cigarettes.
You do have to keep them. It's like you could have your license, but without the cigarettes.
Yeah, no, you're not a trucker. No, you're just a guy driving a truck. You're not a trucker.
Yeah. All right. What is an alligator?
I do know this. Well, I don't know if this is what is going to be on your answer, but I was told that an alligator. So what they do in the amount of rubber on truck tires. Am I right so far?
You're in the ballpark right
Excellent.
now.
Okay, so we're on thing. So the amount of rubber on truck tires is much greater than on cars. So when the treads start running low on trucks, they can actually redo the treads on the tires. And when they do that, sometimes the adhesive that they use to stick the tread back onto the tire comes loose. It's not as common anymore because the adhesive has gotten better. But maybe like 10 years ago or even 5 years ago, you would see all the time these huge hunks of rubber out on the road. And they are from treads coming off of the tire because of the adhesive had let go. And truckers would call them alligators because if you ran over them, they take a bite out of your truck.
Hey, look at you.
There's one for one.
I will give you like perfect score on that. Look
All
at
right.
that. Piece of tire on the road, usually a recap from a blown tire, which
Okay.
can look like an
Recap, retread,
alligator
recap.
lying in the
Yeah.
road.
Yep.
Yeah, and yeah. If you run over them, they can bite you or bounce back up and do damage to hoses, belts, fuel. Look at that.
All right. That's one. That's
You're
one.
doing well.
Woo!
Okay.
How many are
Another
there?
animal one. Too many, so I'm not gonna do all of them.
Okay.
But this one's fun. A bear.
Oh, that's a police officer.
Wow, look at you
Yeah.
go. All right, then you should.
Smokies is the old thing, but Smoky Bear is just easier to say bears. You don't have to say Smokies. So yeah.
Okay, and then what would a bear bite be?
Donut. Like a coffee shop or a donut shop. No.
No.
I
A
got
bear
one wrong.
bite is receiving a ticket from.
I like that better.
Right. You get a speeding ticket.
Okay.
Which then, when you pay the ticket, what might that be called? Keeping with the bear theme.
I don't know.
If you pay your ticket, you're feeding the bears.
Feeding the bears.
Yes.
Oh boy.
You get a bear bite, and then you have to feed the bears.
By the way, it's very hard to get caught by the police for speeding because most trucks have governors on them. You can only go so fast on them, so you'd have to be speeding in a, very low kilometer.
What did you say it was called? A governor?
A governor. Yeah, they put a governor on. So like depending on the trucking company, some companies 105 is the maximum that they could allow a truck. 105 kilometers an hour. It's the maximum that they could legally put on a truck for speed, and they go as low as 90. They're somewhere at 94. It depends on the company.
I really I'm not for, the government controlling every aspect of our lives, but I really don't understand why they don't do that for regular cars. Because there'd
be an uproar. Like what politician?
I know there'd be an uproar. It'd be a bunch of people complaining, but you know that there's a maximum speed that you're allowed to go. Like you go onto, a highway, expressway, whatever. People go a certain percentage over the speed limit. Then there's the ridiculous limit where it's like nobody needs to ever go this fast. Why are cars allowed to go that fast if you're never supposed to go that fast?
There are governors on a lot of high performance vehicles, but what they do is they mod them so that they remove them, right?
And I understand that, but then I totally believe that your regular average pedestrian vehicle, your regular vehicle for the average person should be limited to how fast it can go.
Yeah.
And then of course all your emergency services should be able to go faster than that. Wouldn't that cut down on a whole lot of car chases and stupid teenage speeding and if you modify it, then that's an extra penalty on you.
Well, it already is. It already is if you get caught with modifying your vehicle in that way. But anyways, no politician is going to run on that. Nobody's going to vote for him or her. And if they do,
save lives.
They're not going to win the next election. I mean, that was something you'd have to run on to try to get the majority of support, I think.
I guess you'd have to have. It'd be like, your stabby guy on the bus or something. You need a certain number of those things to happen in a short period of time for someone to say, "All right, we got to do something about this."
Yeah. Well, there's a whole bunch of regulations for truckers because they're not, people just don't like trucks on the road, right? They're big and scary and that. So there's a limited on how fast they can go, how much you can drive in a day.
But then how else are you going to get your Amazon purchases? What am I going to go to the store myself?
Yeah. All right.
Back to the test here.
Yes.
I'm going to skip down a few. Crotch rocket.
Oh, that's a motorcycle. Like a Suzuki.
Specifically?
Like a Honda Suzuki, not a Harley, but like a fast super performance motorcycle.
I am impressed. I'm impressed.
I knew that one
A
before.
motorcycle built for speed.
There's rocket sauce.
Hey, rocket sauce. Don't interrupt the test. Okay. Don't let anybody help you. Feel free if anyone in the chat though thinks they can beat Kevin at any of these.
No caffeine pills. No, I do not have any.
When you're driving your truck, what's your donkey?
Donkey must be. Oh, geez. It's either the trailer or the load. I don't know. I'm guessing on this one.
You kind of got in the right area. Your donkey is just behind you.
Okay.
So someone might say to you, "You've got a bear on your donkey."
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna take off a point for that one.
I would. I get it right.
Go-go juice.
Oh, that's coffee. Or no, that's fuel. Fuel.
Specifically?
Well, I mean, we're not supposed to say diesel because things have changed now. But
is that a no word?
Yeah, because not every truck runs on diesel.
Okay, but so yes, that was, I guess, classically known as diesel fuel.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. There are two options for this one: a gumball machine or jackpot.
No, don't know this one.
That'd be the.
The cops.
The lights on the top of a cop car.
Okay. I think I have heard that one before. I should have got that one.
All right, this one should be fairly easy. I really like the way this sounds. It's probably my favorite. Maybe I'll save this for the end. It's kind of easy, but all right, I'm gonna save that for the end.
Was choke and puke on your list?
No. What is that?
The choke and puke? That's the truck stop.
Oh, okay. Like a roadside diner.
Yeah.
Okay. A lollipop.
Lollipop. No.
Lollipop.
Don't know this one.
They're just those little reflectors on the side of the road that kind of have like a circle on the top. Looks like a lollipop sticking out of the road.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Maybe that, I don't know if they have that in.
They do, yeah. Especially in the
different.
They use them in the winter a lot to mark where the driveways are and that because of the snowbanks.
Okay. Now I know you're gonna know this next one.
All right.
A lot lizard.
Oh yeah, that's a lady of the night who hangs out at truck stops.
Okay, now I'm going to add to this a lot lizard, also known as a sleeper creeper.
Okay.
And there may also be a male buffalo.
Oh man, you're educating me now.
Yes, and they would be hanging out, as you said, in a lot or something, which can also be known as a pickle park.
Oh, I'm learning a lot here. I have not
when,
heard of
when
those.
You're off to your choke and puke and you pull into the pickle park, watch out for all the lot lizards and male buffaloes.
Sauce was going to ask the same question. He's like, I got a trivia question, and then you asked a lot lizards.
Pay the water bill.
Just have to stop for a pee.
Yeah. Too. Okay. You know what you're doing. All right. Now I got a question for you. This is not part of the test, but you previously educated us on how you would stop for a little pee break when it's like super cold and windy. You got to go between the cab, right?
Between the cab. Yep.
What do you do if you're in that situation? You're in the middle of a lot somewhere. It's freezing cold, and you got to take a poop.
You just hope that you don't. That's it. Or you got to find your way to the closest toilet.
I was going to say you should probably have a couple of extra bags with you in your cab.
I mean, I've heard stories where it has happened.
You spend a lot of time in that truck.
Yeah,
you spend a lot of time in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you let us know once you come across the answer.
Listen, my mission is to plan my stops so I don't have to. Like, I mean, a lot of this stuff is like outlaw trucker stuff. Like, like what my brother, when I went out on a run with my brother-in-law, he's a bit of an outlaw, like where he's stopping and all that, and how much he drives and all that. Where if you're with a company that is a little more corporate, I mean, you're going to be stopping. They're not going to let you drive 4 hours without stopping, right? You're going to be stopping at least once within that 4 hours. So you're going to have time to stop and go to the bathroom and all that. And, and he just got, and what do they call it? Oh, geez. So if that does happen to you, I don't know if this is on your list, but if you do have that happen to you, that is called an ARS.
ARS?
Another roadside emergency.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the problem here with just about everything in life is that I was educated by movies from the 70s and 80s. So when I saw how everything was displayed in those films, that's what I expected of my adult life.
Right.
So I don't know why the society changed everything.
Well, I mean, things were getting crazy. Like Sauce mentioned, the caffeine pills. Like truckers were regularly taking those to stay awake, to drive on the roads. They were getting in accidents. It was a big thing here in Canada, like maybe about 10, 15 years ago, where constantly in the news you heard of truck tires flying off of trailers and tractors and flying into like people's cars, because the more construction you have out there, the more things you need delivered and outlet, the more trucks there are, and the less people are who are looking after the trucks and all that. And so guys were just not looking after their trucks and letting them just hoping for the best when they go out on the road, or not caring or whatever, and all sorts of accidents were happening. So government has to step in. People get angry. There's an outcry. Government has to step in and start setting down some regulations.
All right.
It's just the way it goes.
You got a cruise control button on your truck?
Not in the truck. So far I'm just practicing on trucks in a lot. We haven't gone out on the road or anything like that. But there are trucks with cruise control, manual and automatic trucks with cruise control. It's a thing. It's not it's not something you would use in town or anything like that, because your reaction time is like a half a second. Because when your foot's on the floor versus your foot on a pedal, right? Your foot's on a pedal, you see something happen, your foot comes up and hits the brake, right? So you immediately, once you take your foot off the pedal, truck starts slowing down. You're towing 80,000 pounds. It's going to start slowing you down. You got your foot on the floor. You take your foot up. Nothing's happening. That cruise control is still telling you to go, and you put your foot on the brake. So it's something you would only use on the highway with lots of room in front of you. That's right.
Gotcha. So what have you're 2 weeks in? You said you did a lot of theory, all the book study. Have you spent a lot of time in the actual truck?
Yeah, like today, basically today we just learned backing up. We just backed up, which is a whole, I mean, there's angles, there's turning, there's steering, there's a whole. I actually want to try to find on American Truck Simulator. I want to try to find if somebody did the test within American Truck Simulator, like one of the mods or something, so I could just practice, because I got the steering wheel for it, and just practice, trying to back in only using the mirrors, because it's the thing that they get you to do. Like I talked to many truckers and all that, and it's basically a trick that they want you to do during the road test to show that you have command of the vehicle. It's something that you would never or very rarely have to do out in the real world. It's called a 90-degree turn. So you're basically perpendicular. Like the spot you want to get into here is here. This is great audio, by the way. Demonstrate
people can picture a 90-degree angle.
So picture an empty parking spot, and you passed it in your car, and you want to back up into it, right? In your car. That's basically what they're trying to get you to do. But you're doing it in a big truck with a trailer. So you have to go up and around and back in like that. And there's only
just like that, listeners. Just like that.
So you got a certain number of times you can pull up and correct your backing in. But so today I did that twice, and my exam is going to be in 4 weeks. Now, the first time I did it, I was guided, I would say, by the instructor. Told me when to turn and all that, so you can get a feel of it. But the second time I did it on my own, and I did okay. I think he stopped me a couple of times and corrected me in that. It's just like anything. It's just going to take some practice, but it's very easy to fail. That's like they were like I show up for class a little bit early, so I kind of hang out with the instructors a little bit, and they tell me stories. They always have stories of like, because they're always doing exams, right? They're always present when exams, and like, how did everyone do yesterday? And they'll be like 2 for 2. 2 people passed, 2 people failed, and it'd be something stupid like one guy drove perfectly, did all the road tests and all that. Did all of his, they call it a Schedule 1 check, where they quiz you on the equipment on the truck and to look for defects and all that. There's like a couple of pages of defects. You have to know them all, and they'll just ask you 6 random ones, and tell them what you're looking for and all that stuff. So it's basically to test you on your pre-trip. You got to couple and uncouple the trailer. So this guy did all that, 100% correct. Went to back in, got out of his truck, went to the back of the truck, looked, said, "Oh, I am," like, you basically have 3 feet of space that you can back up into this spot. And he went and he looked and he said, "Oh, I'm more than 3 feet." Now, if he would have left it there, because he was more than 3 feet, he would have got a mark on his exam, but he would have passed. But he decided, I don't want that mark on my exam, so I'm going to back it up a little more. So he was probably, he was just a little bit out of 3 feet, went in, backed up, hit the back cone, went too far.
Oh,
instant fail.
Fail.
There are certain things that if you do on the test, it is an instant fail. So it's very easy to fail a test.
That's just like when Greg Brady hit the egg. Remember that one?
Yes.
He was trying to beat Marsha. Yeah. He just needed that extra inch.
Sauce ass, is this like Boy Scouts or karate where all you do is read? No, you actually drive the truck. You do.
Was anybody ever in Boy Scouts? Did you ever do anything like that?
I did Navy League cadets.
Navy League cadets.
Yeah, that was like, you have Air Cadets, Sea Cadets, Army Cadets. I don't know if you have those in the States.
We had Cub Scouts when I was in elementary school, and I joined it. And yeah, I put on my uniform and I went to the school cafeteria every week, and we played Steal the Bacon, and then I went home.
Well, you remember?
It was terrible.
I'm pretty sure. Remember when Wesley Crusher was in school to become a Starfleet officer? Remember, he was a cadet.
Yeah,
that's what cadets are. You're just teenagers.
It's like an ROTC kind of thing, prepping you for the military.
Yeah, basically. But what I was in was, so there was, Air Cadets, Sea Cadets, Army Cadets. So those are like high school kids going around playing Army, playing Navy, playing airplane to prepare themselves for going into the Army. Air Cadets are cool though. I think they got to fly gliders, which is pretty cool. Anyways, I was in Navy League cadets. So that was like, baby cadets. Like, you weren't even a cadet yet. You were like a Navy League cadet. Like,
put on your uniform and go in the kiddie pool.
Put on your uniform and march around a gym for a couple hours every Friday. Raise a flag, lower a flag, play some band music. Hey, we had the Governor General of Canada come and inspect us once. That was pretty cool. There you
Excellent. Go. All right. Well, I'd say you did pretty well on this quiz. You knew a whole lot more of these than I thought you would. Well, I'm just going to give you my favorite one now.
Okay.
Which I think is kind of easy. I just like the phrase Kojak with a Kodak.
Oh, that must be a police camera. Or like a speed camera? Or radar?
Yeah,
Radar.
a
Okay,
police officer, some kind of law enforcement with a speed gun.
Sauce asked about space cadets. Was it a thing in the
Oh, it
80s and
is now in the
90s? But it might
U.S.
be. Yeah, it might be in the U.S.
We've got our Space Command service.
Space Force.
Space Force. No, the name is sillier than I remembered.
Good old Trumpy. Space Force.
Oh boy.
So enough about trucking. What have you been up to, sir?
Oh, I gotta bring my phone back for this because I watch a lot of movies.
Did you?
I watch movies constantly. I try to watch a movie every day, and I've been successful in getting two in certain days.
Wow.
Well, the good thing is, this year for my work, I switched textbooks at the high school I work for. So I used to have probably like 3 or 4 different series of textbooks for different classes. And as of this year, they wanted me to take on some additional classes. So I said, you know what? I'm going to get all new textbooks and I'm going to use the same series for every class for whatever thing I do. So it's just going to be so much more unified and it's going to be so much easier to plan everything out and prep everything. And to some degree, it has worked, which gives me a lot more free time because everything is just doom, 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 doom. I did this for this class. I do the same thing. The test style, the quizzes, everything is just like smoother operation. So I get more time for painting and watching movies and stuff. Which is
Nice.
great. So I did watch a couple of movies. And let me just backtrack a little bit, check my notes, because there's some that I've forgotten about. What month is it?
June. It was May.
Okay. Wow, we haven't recorded in a while.
Has it been that long? Yeah, I'm looking back at here. The last movies I talked about, I watched in April. So yeah, I guess it has been a while.
Like I think I mentioned Judge Dredd before. That was nearly a month ago.
We still have more episodes this year than STC Pod, so that's all that matters.
All right.
As long as
I
those
did
guys
watch
stay
a couple
lazy.
of movies for the first time. Like I finally saw Fargo. I'd never seen that before.
And what'd you think of Fargo? Oh, you liked it. Good.
It was really good. I finally saw Slapshot with Paul Newman.
Yeah.
That was very entertaining.
Yeah, with the Hanson brothers.
That's yes. I finally saw Deadpool 2.
Okay.
Which was just like Deadpool 1.
Yeah.
It kind of hit that like, this is fun. A little bit over. Okay, it's back to being fun again.
Yeah, it's okay. It's good.
It rides the line where it's there's some good parts. I rewatched a couple of good classic sci-fi like Forbidden Planet.
Oh yeah, love that.
That Super Star Trek. You see the major Star Trek influence.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
You got Captain, Doctor, First Officer going down to the planet to investigate.
Yeah, and then Walter Pidgeon is like like that. He could have been a Star Trek villain. That character that he was playing, the Doctor who.
Well, the whole thing, the whole like, it's your id coming out and everything. It's super Star Trek. The Day the Earth Stood Still, 1951
love that movie
version. That was really good. And then I finally watched all of the Planet of the Apes sequels from the original series. I had always avoided them for some reason. I've seen the original so many times, but then I went beneath, I escaped, conquested, and battled for.
Now, I believe I've only seen... Oh, sorry. Go ahead. And?
Oh, no. Go ahead. Which one? Because I won't spoil anything if I know which ones you haven't seen.
I think now, it was a long time ago that I saw 3 of the sequels. And, so second, third, and fourth. If I recall correctly, there were a bit of diminishing returns. Like the second one was really good. Third one was okay, and then I think the last one I saw, the apes come to like present day Earth, which would have been like early 70s or something.
Okay, well they were all 70s. Like the original came out what, like 68, 69.
Yeah.
Like
No. I
two,
mean,
three.
the apes came to present what would have been
Oh,
present
okay.
day
Yes, yes,
Earth in the 70s. I
yes,
think that
yes,
was the
yes.
last one I saw.
Okay, that film, that was Escape. And that was 71, but they came to Earth in 73. They put it in the future just slightly.
Oh,
Well, I'll fill you in on my thoughts.
all right.
The second one, Beneath the Planet of the Apes. Uh, First half of that movie, kind of meh. Kind of not so much because they're basically just retreading the same ground. You get another character who also comes to the planet, who also looks very much like Charlton Heston,
Mm-hmm.
who also discovers it's a planet of the apes, who also runs across Nova. No problem with Nova being there again.
No.
Um, but the first half is basically setting up his character to experience just about everything that Taylor experienced in the first film. And then the second half, they actually go beneath and they get some new territory. And then the bleakest ending I've ever seen in any movie. I wasn't expecting.
I
Like
see.
I know
That's
the
what I.
first movie. I
Yeah.
know the first movie wasn't exactly like it didn't end on a high note.
Yeah.
Man, some of these sequels, the endings are so rough.
I remember that's what I liked the most about the second movie was the ending and the cameo appearance, shall we say?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. Right. Well, from chimpanzee to
To chimpanzee.
chimpanzee, which
They'll
is
never make
probably
a
my
monkey
favorite.
out of me.
I love you, Dr. Zayas.
Dr. Zayas, Dr. Zayas.
Oh, speaking of which, I just recently ordered some Simpsons DVDs.
Nice.
I've never had them. I do have the first two seasons. I just ordered 3, 4, and 5, and then I'm gonna keep my eye out to see if I can get I don't know, maybe through 10 or so. I can't remember how much of The Simpsons I actually watched back in the day. Hmm. Anyway, the next one was Escape from Planet of the Apes. That's the one that does the Star Trek 4 thing, send them back to present day.
Right.
And that one I thought was much better than Escape and
Okay.
Beneath.
The second one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 2 was kind of like, so. 3 did something completely different and was really entertaining. 4 Conquest continues off that. You haven't seen that one?
I don't think so. I can't remember. It was such a long time ago.
Conquest continues off of that go back in time. Well, basically, the second sequel continues from, Taylor and ends where it ends. Then go back in time, and then those 3 movies continue from that point. So
Okay.
I really liked Escape and I really liked Conquest. And then Battle was just like they ran out of money and ideas and
Yeah.
time and nobody was interested anymore except Roddy McDowell. He kept coming back for all the movies and I think he did the TV show too, which I've not seen. But 5 was pretty lackluster. But overall, pretty good in terms of they're banging out these movies like every year and they're still putting some creativity and some clever sci-fi writing in there.
Mm-hmm.
Nice stuff. I recommend them.
I have them. I just
Hmm.
haven't watched them.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
Escape and Conquest I really enjoy.
Okay. That's it?
That's about it. Well,
That's
I mean,
it.
I watched a whole lot of more stuff, but I know you're not going to want to talk about Nightmare on Elm Street, so.
Well, I'm curious to you went through the series,
The whole thing,
and you enjoyed them.
all 8.
You're all into them.
Enjoy. We did this like a couple of years back where we watched the first one for one of our Fandangos.
Yeah.
Neither of us were really a big fan of it. We thought
Yeah.
it was very silly. I love the concept. I love the character, but the execution seemed a bit silly and everything. So a little while ago, a few months back, I did come across a copy of like the whole series for cheap.
Yeah.
It was like, why not? Let's give it a go. And it took me a while. I finally sat down and watched them all, and I did what I normally can't do. If I'm watching a series of movies, I usually get I usually reach my limit, and I need to take a break from the
Yeah.
series. I
Start to
can't
burn out.
watch like X-Men, X-Men 2, X3. I can't do that, even if I enjoy the movies. But then with Planet of the Apes, I was all on board. It's like, man, I just want to watch more and more of these. So I tried it right after with the Nightmare on Elm Street, and I was able to get through all 8 of them within like a week or so. Probably because they're all like 90 minutes. If movies are 90 minutes, I can marathon them.
Yeah.
If they start going 2.5 hours, I need a break. It's too much. They're all pretty dumb, and they all make mistakes, and they all contradict themselves and everything. And there's definitely a drop-off point where it's like, okay, this is just dumb now, like more than just a little dumb. But there are parts of different things that I enjoyed from the movies, and I do like Robert Englund in that character. So watching him do his stuff is really fun. But yeah, once you start getting to like part 5, part 6, it's like they just didn't care anymore. They ran out of gas.
Are you in agreement with the consensus that the third one is the best one?
It's the fan favorite. I'd say for me, my favorites would be the first and New Nightmare, when Wes
Yeah.
Craven kind of rebooted it and made Freddy a little darker, a little scarier again. I think that one works really well for most of the movie. Um, but the logic just kind of always falls apart when it's time to fight Freddy. It's like, who's gonna like? What are his powers? How far can he go?
Yeah.
I think the second one kind of gets a bad rap though. The second one messed around with what he does, because it's the concept is he gets you in your dreams. You go to sleep, he
Yeah.
gets you. The second one, he's kind of possessing somebody, and he's coming into the real world, and there's parts where he's killing people in the real world, and he makes the kid he's possessing actually kill people instead.
I don't think I watched that one. I think I watched the first one. I didn't like it. Everyone said the third one's the best, so I watched the third one, and I didn't care for that one either, and kind of done.
Third one's the favorite. The fourth one has probably the best practical effects. There's some really great makeup and weird stuff in there. That one's got some great moments.
Let's see,
in
did I
terms
watch?
of effects.
Oh,
I did watch Freddy versus Jason. I've seen Freddy versus Jason like 4 times by now.
Okay,
I
I
love
did.
the Freddy versus Jason fight.
Wait, I watched the first one, the third one. Which one's the second one?
Freddy's Revenge.
Yeah, I gave it 1 star. Okay, so I did watch it. What did
I
I
think it
say?
gets a bad rap though. It's not a brilliant movie or anything, but people always complain that his powers are different, and they say it
Well,
doesn't match the rest of the series.
I said
But that was
even
the
if
second installment. It's like you can't judge it by all the movies that came after it.
I
They were
said
trying to do something else.
even if you like Freddy, he's hardly in this one, and it's mostly played by another actor. That's what I put in my
Freddy.
review. It's kind of part 2.
I don't know. Some good effects in that one. He like comes through like he comes out of a person, the body falls away.
Hodge liked it. He gave it 3 stars.
Freddy's Revenge?
Part 2, yeah. No.
Yeah. That one's
Freddy's
also
Revenge.
if you ask people about that one, they also constantly mention the homoerotic overtones of that film.
Oh, really?
Lots of S&M and
Oh,
male twerking and stuff like that.
Male twerking. My goodness, I need to rewatch this now. This needs to be studied.
The Freddy versus Jason versus Ash. They turned that into a comic book. I'm kind of curious to read it.
Studios didn't want Ash to win. No, that would have been fun.
Well, that's the thing with all these A versus B movies. You can never decide who's going to win.
Right. No, Freddy won, right, against Jason?
It's the ambiguous thing at the end.
Well, you can't kill Jason, right? So Freddy won, but Jason came back. Was that what it was? I can't remember.
Oh, they have a big fight at the end, and they're both like ripped up. Freddy's got his arm ripped off, and Jason like stabs him with his own claw, and they chop each other up. And then in the end, it's Jason coming out of the water, and he's carrying Freddy's head. And then Freddy's head winks at the camera.
Okay, that's what it was. All right. Okay. Jason won according to Sauce. All right. Well, whatever.
Well, no, the teenagers won in that one.
Yeah. We all win when Freddy goes.
We all win when
Jason,
we get more
because we get to watch. We all win. That's who wins.
I still like the Chucky movies better.
I'm with you on that. I when it comes to the slasher movies, I find Chucky to be fun, especially when it gets what the kids call meta, when it starts getting self-referential, and I think they handle it well in that. Mm-hmm. They recognize how ridiculous sometimes the story had become and had some good fun with it. I mean, that's what it's supposed to be, right? Fun.
It's just silly goofiness. And I guess this is the first time watching these that I can actually just see it as silly. Because as a kid, it terrified me. The idea of watching a Nightmare on Elm Street movie. I did watch a few when I was younger, but I always had that lingering, like, I don't want to turn off the light. I don't want to go down that dark hallway. So it's finally at the point where I can just watch them and be like, yeah, it's just a very silly, silly, silly movie.
Yeah, I was way too much of a wimp to watch scary movies when I was a kid. Not even Terminator or Aliens or anything like that. I was almost a teenager. I would have been like 11 or 12 before I started getting around to like being okay with those kind of movies, and then much older when I started watching like slasher films and that. But they were never really my thing. It would be like I'd be going out and like, what movie we're going to see? Oh, we want to see, I don't know, some stupid slash Candyman. I remember watching that, going to the theater and watching Candyman. Don't say Candyman into the mirror 3 times. Okay.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, I think so. I'm pretty sure.
I've never seen it.
I think I was just looking at my popcorn the whole movie. I was like, get me out of here. There was some big bonfire. I'm like, just set them all on fire. I'm done with this movie. But they're just not my thing, you know.
It really feels like a you kind of got to watch it with a group.
That would be fun. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, speaking of which, do you still do your bad movie nights?
Those were my first 2 movies I'm going to talk about are movies we watched on our last bad movie night. We might do one tomorrow. I don't know.
I've got a recommendation for you.
I got my pen. I got a piece of paper. Let's go.
Hang on. Let me make sure I get the name right. I wrote it down. Hang on. This is a Chuck Norris movie from 1994 called Hellbound.
Hellbound.
Yes, it is the last film made by the Cannon Group before they went out of business.
Okay.
That's all I can tell you. It's Chuck Norris in an action movie, and boy, oh boy, does it have its moments.
I'm like, Hellbound, Chuck Norris. Where is this movie? Is it on Tubi?
I got it on DVD.
Of course you do.
I bought a Chuck Norris like 3-pack. It had 3 terrible movies on it, but this one was actually entertaining.
Yeah, all right.
In the wrong way, in the right way.
Well, if you want, we talked about these movies before, but the two movies, it was fun to rewatch. I actually, one of the movies I wanted to watch was Piranha 3D. It was one of the newer Piranha movies that came out like 2012 or something like that. Not the old ones from the 70s, the James Cameron and Gremlins guy, the Burbs guy, Joe Dante. They both did one of those movies in the 70s, but then they kind of brought the series back in a campy style. So I went to the dark web to get us Piranha 3D. And when I went to play the file, it was actually, you've probably seen them before, but it's actually like a 3D file. It like plays like the video in two panels. So if you have 3D, if you have like a 3D or one of those headsets,
like a headset,
virtual reality headset, you put that, play that in your virtual reality headset, and it plays it back in 3D.
Okay.
Which doesn't work on LCD TV when you got a bunch of people around. So,
sorry, just on the note of 3D, Freddy's Part 6 was actually in 3D.
Did you get glasses?
There's a scene in the movie where somebody puts on 3D glasses and then she takes them off as the cue for you to put your 3D glasses on. And I only mention that because in Freddy 6, one of the characters played by Yaphet Kotto.
Oh, that's a big get. I was
extremely shocked.
That's a big get for one of those movies. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and he doesn't do a whole lot.
I imagine it was a day on the set. He got his paycheck and got out of there. Thank you so much.
You know what? If somebody offered me a chance to be in a Freddy movie, even if it was one of the lackluster sequels, just to be able to see Robert Englund do his thing, sure.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. That dude was in Aliens. He's got his slasher cred already. Okay, so the two bad movies we watched, Bad Movie Night, way back on May 13th. I got the gang to watch Death Promise.
Oh, yeah. Death Promise. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was a good time. It was so funny watching, like, they were getting into the story and then that that one scene where you see, like, they wait until the end to reveal who the bad guy is, but there's that one scene where he's petting the cat and it's obviously him. Like you could see him, and they were kind of like taken out by that. They're like, oh, that kind of sucks. I'm like, come on, this movie's terrible. Like, what? Of course, stupid things like that are going to happen. But
as long as somebody gets a bag of rats over the head,
yeah, come on, that was good times. Good times. So we watched that, and then we tried to watch Piranha 3D. So we went to a safe movie that we all knew was going to be bad. We watched Troll 2 again.
Oh my god!
Yeah. So I loved both in their, for the terribleness
for the right reasons. Yeah.
Sarah said that Death Promise was much better than Troll 2. And I'm like, I don't know about that. I mean, both have their qualities, I think, but if I look back, I did give Death Promise 2 stars. I don't know what I did not write a review for that one. Oh, bad acting, lighting, plot, but you get some hilarious deaths. Oh, maybe that was why. And I only gave Troll 2 1 star. All right. Well, anyways.
I can see that. Troll 2, you're following around a bunch of teenagers.
But there were some, let me try to think now. There were some facts that some of the other gang had about that movie. Maybe we talked about it when we did. I can't remember. But that movie was, so there is this is it. There was a movie. Do you remember that in Troll 2, I know it's been a while since we watched it, but there was the gang in they were in the camper. They were in a camper and they were watching a movie.
Yes.
And it was like a monkey, just like a rocket.
It's just some kind of rocket or something. Yeah.
Explodes out of him. Apparently that's like a German film. That
I remember seeing there was a Cinemassacre video where he talked about he identified the film and said something about it, but I don't remember what the name of the movie
I
was
can't
or
remember the name of the
who
movie
made it or
either.
whatever.
Yeah, it was
I'm
kind
sure
of a
if you just
silly
look
name.
up Troll 2,
yeah,
movie and movie, though.
Yeah. You'll be able to find it. But apparently like all the we might have talked about this before, I can't remember, but they reminded me that all of the actors in that movie showed up on set to not audition but to be extras in the background, and the producers were just grabbed extras and said, no, you're going to play this character, you're going to play this character. That's why the acting is like so terrible in that movie, because they were all supposed to be extras. Like the one guy,
right,
he's like a dentist or something, like the dad in that movie. He's a dentist, and he does his dentist, and then like his side gig is to go around to conventions and all that and meet the fans of Troll 2.
Yeah.
Interesting stuff.
Sorry, just one other note, because you said petting cats. I totally forgot. The other day, I watched a James Bond movie.
Petting cats. So, Pussy Galore. Did you watch Goldfinger?
I watched From Russia with Love.
Okay. What'd you think of that one?
It was okay. It a little slow. I don't know if it was just the time frame of the movie was made. There were some very good parts, some good dialogue, good performances and everything. But I don't know. I watched it late at night, so maybe.
Yeah, that's the second movie in the series, and they still hadn't gotten the formula 100. Like Goldfinger, when that came out, that was like, okay, this is the way to do a James Bond film. And then every other James Bond film has kind of, for the most part, has followed that formula. So From Russia with Love is a little bit more slow because they were still trying to figure it out, kind of thing. But that's one of my more favorite ones. I do enjoy that one. It's up. It would be in my easily in my top 10, maybe top 5.
Okay. Well, I did grab a few of them when that rental shop went out of business. So
yeah,
I got a couple more. I do have Goldfinger and Thunderball, which I believe are like the next ones right after that.
Yeah. Goldfinger follows it, and that's a classic. Thunderball, it's like, I think it's one of the longest James Bond films. Might be the second longest. I think the longest is, well, I don't know. The Daniel Craig ones are pretty long too, but the pre-Daniel Craig, I'm pretty sure that was the second longest, and the longest one was the one with the Australian model playing James Bond. The heck's his name? George Lazenby. That one's a really.
But that was the unofficial.
It was official.
Like 2 movies that are.
No. The unofficial ones you're thinking of is the original Casino Royale from the 60s with like Woody Allen. That was like a comedy kind of thing. And then there was the Sean Connery one from the 80s called Never Say Never Again. And that one was actually sort of a remake of Thunderball. They're almost identical movies, almost. Both are not very good. Well, I haven't seen Casino Royale in a very long time, but I watched it when I was a kid, and I remember not liking it. But Never Say Never Again is I don't like that one at all. But Thunderball is a little bit slow. They kind of go back, but anyways.
Well, to date, I've only seen 3 of them, and so far, Moonraker's number 1.
Yeah, well, you might be.
No, like I legitimately enjoyed Moonraker. I thought it was fun.
You might be a Roger Moore guy then. The Roger Moore ones are fun. I cannot, I like those ones too. But for me, Moonraker goes, it's a little silly. Like, they were basically, Star Wars was big. Star Trek was coming out. We got to put James Bond in space. We got to do it. And anyways, I mean, you can't like.
I've learned to accept that the movies are silly in that certain aspect, and that's it's all the one-liners and the crazy gadgets. Just have some fun.
Okay, then I don't know if I told you, but we finished up with MASH. We got to the final episode.
Oh, okay.
Really good. The show stayed, I think, fairly consistent towards the end. I think I understand, like, some people are more fans of the first 3 seasons with Trapper John and McLean Stevens, because the show is way more silly.
But when it was just, let's have fun.
But when the actors were like, hey, we want to do more serious drama and stuff like that. So, like, Alan Alda apparently had it in his contract that there had to be a scene within the operating room at some point during every episode, because he wanted the audience to be reminded that what they were going through, like what the characters were going through, and that war sucks and all that. So yeah, they're having some fun, but there's always that serious undertone behind what they're that they always had to, but like none of them really wanted to be there, kind of thing. The last season is they started leaning very heavily on cliched sitcom plot lines, a little bit, not too much, but a little bit. Like there's a lot more like, not Klinger gets married, but just kind of, stuff like that, like just stuff that you'd seen in other sitcoms kind of, coming to fruition in MASH, which, in the early seasons, MASH was a trendsetter, instead of copying other, like there was one where they were trying to solve a crossword puzzle. And I'm pretty sure if you go back, there's like a I Love Lucy where they were trying to solve a crossword puzzle or something like that, But Alan Alda did that final season only because he really wanted to do the finale a certain way. And the TV studio said, well, if you come back for 11th season, we can do the finale that way. So he agreed to do it. So the finale is great, holds up. It was, emotional and funny. It's kind of jarring in a way because you're watching it. So originally it was 2.5 hours. It's like there's 2.5 hours of content, right? So originally when it aired over a span of 3 hours, right? So without the commercials and that, it's a little jarring how quickly some of the characters. I could spoil the finale of MASH. I think I can. Basically, Hawkeye has an experience on a bus that really affects him emotionally, right? And he's always been the joker, the funny guy coming up with jokes, always using humor as a shield against all these terrible things that are happening. And he finally snaps. He just snaps, right? And he just he yells at some nurses, and they don't show it; they just kind of talk about it, kind of thing. And a nurse was putting there was a patient in front of him, and they were putting the what do they call it, the knockout juice, I don't know what the hell, over the guy's face, and he thought the nurse was suffocating the guy or something like that. Anyways, sends him off the deep end. And then like so you're seeing all this stuff go, and then he does all this stuff with the psychiatrist Sidney Friedman, and then he's back to old Hawkeye like very quickly. Whereas if this was done today, this would be done over 10 episodes of a TV show. You know what I mean? It's just the way that television used to be done. And everything was very quick. Like you'd be over whatever problem you had, it could be solved within 22 minutes of program time and commercials added in.
You got to get to the next scene eventually.
Right. Exactly. Hey, look at this.
Hey,
our pal Dino. But for the most part, holds up. I would say. I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but I'll say it again. Trapper John and Hawkeye, they were best friends. But that BJ Honeycutt and Hawkeye, those guys were brothers. They were like you could tell those two characters really loved each other. They fought, but they did silly things, but they also fought a lot, and it was just good television. So I was happy to watch that again. So then the next TV series that we started. We must have tried to watch something else. Oh, we did try to watch. I tried to watch Mr. Robot, which is like a Rami Rami Malek is in that show. Basically, he's like he plays like a sort of a, I don't know, he's got like some sort of autism or something like that. But he's like an idiot savant kind of thing with all programming and hacking and getting into government things and all that through the computer, through the internet. And he falls, so he's trying to get a job with this company, and he's working his way up in this company. And then this rogue group led by Christian Slater comes in and tries to they basically use him to take some stuff that they felt that this company was doing, and it was evil and all that. I don't know. I didn't even follow half of it. It was like I started falling asleep. It just wasn't for me. It was all about hacking and conspiracies, and I don't know. I didn't get it. So I watched the pilot, and that was kind of enough for me. So Sarah was kind of out of it too. She didn't care for it. So I said, okay, well, we got to pick another show. What's our next show? So we started Family Ties.
Hey, okay.
Yeah. And let me tell you, we're having a much better time with Family Ties. That show. So first of all, the first season, there's a couple of episodes that are a little bit rough. You could tell that the network, when the show was designed, they designed it around Michael Gross and Meredith Baxter, Bernie Turney, or whatever the heck her name is, the parents of the show, right? Stephen Keaton and Elise Keaton. They're like the central figures of the show. But you could see like there's just a gradual shift in momentum as the kids just start taking over the plot lines, because they were obviously the more favorited characters of the show, especially Alex P. Keaton.
Yeah, he's the one everyone regards as the star of that show.
Right. Where we started counting, like there's a formula that fits, right? So every episode, there's either 5 or 6 scenes, usually 6 scenes. The 6th scene is like a kicker at the end. But there'll be scene 1, scene 2, scene 3, scene 4, scene 5, and in scene 5, whatever happened in 1, 2, and 3, and 4, Alex has to apologize for because he made a mistake. And then there's the kicker to send a joke off at the end of the show. But enjoy. So we're on season 3 now. Yeah, we watched the first 2 seasons. She's already pregnant with the kid. And it's funny. It's funny too. The first season, there's like this really cheesy opening. And even that song, the theme song, if you think about the lyrics to that theme song, which if you grew up in the 80s and watched Family Ties, you can probably remember the lyrics of that theme song. That song is very centered around the parents, right? The mom and dad. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like a show that's mostly about these kids is like this loving tribute to these parents.
Well, it's a family unit.
But yeah. No, it's more about
lyrics. Yes.
Yeah. But anyway,
it's a very hippy dippy. Mom and dad love each other.
If you're thinking about watching Family Ties, even if you didn't grow up in that era, I think you can get a lot out of it, because it's very like a lot of what was going on in the 80s between like the parents are basically hippies that have grown up, so they have responsibilities in that, but they still have very liberal views. And the kids are the like Alex is the Republican. He worships he's
the MAGA kid.
Yeah. I wouldn't go that far. He's more of a Mitt Romney type, I would say. He worships the almighty dollar, right? And then Mallory's the material girl. Madonna was singing about girls in the 80s, like she's all about possessions. And then Tina Yothers is like a tomboy kind of thing, which, I don't know. Her role gets kind of diminished less and less. Although I'd say, like, I remember when I was a kid, a lot of people were knocking Tina Yothers and her acting. They'd say like she was really bad, but I don't know, maybe she gets worse later on. But in that those first 2 seasons, they gave her a lot of funny lines, and she was like, it wasn't just funny because the kid said it. She, for a 9-year-old acting on a big show, the first couple of episodes she was a little bit rough, but once her acting greatly improved after 2 episodes, and I don't know, I thought she was doing a pretty good job. She doesn't have too much of a role now here in season 3. It's definitely more focused on Alex and Mallory.
It's rough being the youngest kid on a sitcom because you're cast for your, youthfulness and cuteness, but then you grow out of that, and then they write in a new kid. That's when
that's right. Yeah, well,
cousin Richie or someone shows up.
Yeah, you're not wrong. And it's funny because she, like, on season 3 now, she's almost as tall as Michael J. Fox. Like, she's only like maybe an inch or 2 shorter than him. Not much. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. I recommend
it. Did they introduce Mallory's boyfriend yet? Was his name Nick?
Nick? No, not yet. Oh, and that's another funny thing too. Like, so in the first, like, early on, they build up to the fact that Alex is leaving soon, right? Because he's going to be going off to college, right? And a lot of it is centered around him going to Princeton, which is like, 2 hours away. The show takes place in Columbus, Ohio. I went on the map and I looked at how long like it would take to get to Princeton, and Princeton's in New Jersey, right? So that's far away. And they're building this up that he's going to be going to Princeton. But then as his star rises, this is the star of the show, you're not going to write him off to go off to college. So when he does end up going to college, spoiler alert, they just made up some college in Ohio that was prestigious that he could go to. So he could still be on the show. He's only 30 miles away instead of a 12-hour train ride away. But anyways, Family Ties holds up. Recommend it.
How many seasons for the whole show?
7, I think.
Okay.
It's a lot fewer episodes than MASH. it's not going to take
MASH
us.
Is a big one.
Yeah, it's not going to take us as long to get through. I think it's 146 episodes, whereas MASH was 240, at least 100 episodes more. Oh my goodness.
Gesundheit. That might be the first time you've ever sneezed on this show.
It might be. I usually try to mute my mic, but it wasn't going to happen this time. Wasn't going to make it.
So when you do these TV episodes, you do like 1 a night, 2 a night?
Oh, sometimes we do 4 a day.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Well, we get up like this week. Only getting through about 2 episodes because I've been going to class and that. But like when I was doing the classes here, I wouldn't start till 8 o'clock. So we'd get up, we'd eat breakfast, we'd watch an episode. Then I'd have my lunch break. Would probably get through 1 or 2 episodes, and then at supper time, get through maybe 2, maybe 3 episodes. Who knows?
Okay.
Depends on what we got to do, what's going on, all that. So, that's our thing. Like, I mean, the episodes are 25-ish minutes. Because you get more content back in the 80s than now. Now you get through shows like in 22 minutes, but. Yeah, so they're not full half hours or anything. So yeah, that's our thing.
Okay.
That's it. I mean, I rewatched the Team America World Police. Have you ever seen that?
Okay.
Yeah.
I watched that just a couple months ago.
Okay. I discovered that the version in my Blu-ray collection is the rated version because I waited for that puppet to poop on the other puppet, and I didn't see it. It didn't happen.
I've got the unrated DVD.
So I have the theatrical version on Blu-ray. So I'm gonna have to throw that out.
Wait a minute. Don't they, especially with Blu-rays, don't they give you both versions?
So I think this one might have been a Blockbuster thing or something like that. A lot of the movies that we buy, the used movies, they come from a place called Giant Tiger, where they basically sell used. They just re-shrink wrap them and that. So
okay.
stuff that they got from like movie rental places or whatever. It just says Team America on it, World Police. There's no like unrated or anything like that on it. And
all right.
What is this? Sauce asking, have you seen the Genesis Ghostbusters hack where they added Winston as a playable character? I have.
Yeah,
not.
I did see that.
I have not.
I forget where. Maybe it was just on
the YouTube,
Twitter or something. But yeah, it's like you highlight Egon or something, and then you get to play Winston in game.
I mean, that is kind of a ripoff that he's not in that game. So it's a little embarrassing. Yeah. He should be in that game, I think.
I still like the that new Ghostbusters 2 game.
Yeah,
where you get to play all 4 of them and as Louis Tully.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. That's a good game. Okay, that's it. That's all I got.
Yeah.
I mean, I mowed my lawn yesterday. That was, what else do I got?
It's rainy season here, so it's hard to.
Oh, it hasn't rained here it hasn't rained here in a month now. A month ago, it rained so much that the creek beside my house, we were afraid that it was going to flood into our house because it was so swollen. Here we are a month later. There's forest fires all over Canada. It's like a few days this week. It's been so smoky, like you could smell it, you could taste it. You can see, like, there was a haze throughout over the city. There's a site called firewatch.ca where you can see all the forest fires in Canada. It's pretty wild. Maybe I should call it up. Show you.
Firewatch.
This is good. This will be good content for the listeners out there. No, Smoke Watch.
I saw in the news last night they were showing clips of New York City, and the sky is all orange and hazy and everything from this. How long's it been going on? For like 2 weeks now? The really big one on the East Coast?
Fire Smoke Canada. That's what it is. Okay. Let's see. How do I share this? Present slides? No. Extra camera? No. Share screen? There we go. Let's see. Look at that. There you go. Over here in Quebec, these are all the forest fires in Quebec. And where am I? I'm here in Greater Sudbury. So there is above Elliott Lake here. There are a few fires here, but all that thick smoke is coming over the city of Sudbury.
Oh goodness.
Yeah.
I thought this was a little more east. I thought this was closer to Nova Scotia.
Nope. Nova Scotia is like way out by the ocean here.
Yeah, I thought I saw some postings about evacuations over there.
That's what Sarah said. She said in New Brunswick there was a bunch of forest fires, but according to this, there's nothing. Then if you want to see some real stuff, up by Stevens Way in BC, they're really crazy.
Oh, look at that!
Yeah, that is some craziness happening up there.
And
apparently,
this is just
within the month.
I mean, it just naturally happening just due to dry brush and heat.
So there's always forest fires, right? But because of forgive me for all the conservatives out there who have their heads stuck in the sand, but due to global warming and climate change, now when we get forest fires, they are way more intense, right? To the point that apparently in BC, like they just give up. Like they're on the news the other day, they were just like, yeah, we don't have the manpower, we can't control any of this stuff, so it's like there's nothing they can do. Now Steven, he's down here over in on the island here, so he's like living the good life down here. He's fine, but up here, his brothers and sisters up north, they're getting the serious smoke. So there you go. There's your firesmoke.ca. It's a very fascinating website. I have not been able to stop looking at it at least once a day. this week. Fun stuff. See what you learn here.
All right.
I hope all the people listening got something out of that.
Oh, sure.
All right.
Sure we did.
I think that's a show. I mean, what else? Oh yeah, my car exploded. That was. Sarah went out. So Sarah has a Toyota Matrix, and I have a Honda Fit. Her Toyota Matrix doesn't have any air conditioning in it, so I said, "Take my car. It's got air conditioning." So she went. She was going out to visit her sister the other day, and it was very warm out. She drives out there. She calls me. She's like, the car is overheating. So I said, well, bring it back here. Just take it slow, and come back here and I'll take a look at it. So she tried, and then steam started coming out of the car. So she pulled off the side of the road. Her sister met her on the side of the road, and they called a tow truck. Of course, nowhere in Sudbury was accepting anyone. Like no mechanics were accepting any new work. Like we'd call around, like, who's a mechanic like that you use? Oh, go see this guy. So Sarah would call him up. They'd be like, I got to be honest, I'm like already 2 weeks behind on the work I have. I can't take any more in. She called 3 places, got the same response. So the only place that would take her was Canadian Tire. I said, okay, Canadian Tire is a big chain here in Canada. They're very hit, mostly miss, a little bit hit, mostly miss.
Kind of sounds like Jiffy Lube in the U.S.
Yeah, but Canadian Tire does a little bit more than just oil changes. Like they'll do shocks and brakes and stuff like that. But I've had some good experiences, like a few good experiences at Canadian Tire and a lot of bad ones. But we were desperate. They were the only ones that were going to take the car in. So take the car in. They said it was a serpentine belt. If you don't know what the serpentine belt is, most modern cars just have one belt. You don't have a fan belt and all this stuff like older cars did. You just have one belt that does all the work of the turning the fans and the air conditioning. Basically, as the motor it spins this belt, and it does a whole bunch of accessories for the car. Including the fan for the radiator that keeps the car cool, which if you don't do, you can blow a head gasket or something, and it's not going to be good times for your car. You might destroy your car. So, what is he talking about? Sauce's rack and peanut steering. Yeah, okay.
I can't wait till I get my DVDs. I can remember all this stuff.
So. Take the car into Canadian Tire. That's what they told us. But the serpentine belt is there. So this was on a Thursday. Friday goes by. We don't hear from them. Saturday morning, I call them. I said, I get the parts desk, which isn't a good sign. Because I called the auto center and I got the parts desk. And I'm like, yeah, I'm looking, like Honda Fit brought it in on Thursday looking to get an update. He's like, oh, well, the auto center's closed. I'm like, they're closed? It's like, yeah, it's Saturday. I'm like, I know it's Saturday. What are you doing closed? He's like, well, I can go and check your car I could go and give me your name and the car, and I can go check, give you an update. I'm like, okay, great. So I'm on hold, and then the call drops, which I know is the guy just hanging up on me, basically just want to talk to me, right? I know what happens. I've worked at places. I know what happens. You put them on hold for a few minutes. You sit there. Oh, he's still on hold. Well, let's pretend the call got cut off, and then maybe he won't call back. So finally, they were closed all day. So we did a couple of drive-bys, and my car was in the shop every time we drove. Replacing a serpentine belt is like an hour maximum. Not even an hour. Like 20 minutes to replace a belt. My car is still in the shop. I'm like, what is going on with my car? So finally Monday, get the call. The car is ready. So Sarah went in and paid for it. And when I got home, we went and picked up the car. So then she tells me, okay, when I went in and paid for it, they replaced the belt, but they gave me these other notes. One was this This is a thing they do at Canadian Tire now. They had to take a tire off of the car to replace the serpentine belt. So they retorqued they torqued the tire. Then they tell you after 100 kilometers, make sure you retorque it, because they've done it wrong so many times and gotten in trouble so many times that they now have to say that as a blanket statement. Like, you have to retorque it after 100 kilometers, because when the wheel flies off after 100 kilometers, we're not liable. It's your fault because we told you to retorque it, kind of thing. So that's fine. So then she tells me that the cap to the radiator had melted.
Huh.
And we might want to have that replaced.
Maybe.
Right. And I'm thinking, oh, that sounds serious to me. I'm going to have to look at that. But this was late at night. I get up the next morning and I'm like, I'm sure stupid me. I'm sure everything's fine in there. It's just Canadian Tire being stupid, just like the tire thing. I'm sure everything's fine. That was my mistake. I drive it to class on the Tuesday morning. Everything was fine. Nothing. Start driving back. Warning bells, warning lights. It was hot out. The temperature gauge starts going off. I'm like, oh, great. So I put my 4-way hazards on. I slow right down. I'm on the bypass, the Highway 144 bypass up to Chelmsford. It's 90 kilometers an hour through there. I'm doing 50, going as slow. I can't go any faster. I pull off to the side of the road a few times to let people go by, but it's all people in trucks, big trucks and SUVs and all that, all angry because they need to get somewhere and all that. I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't blow a head gasket here. You're just gonna have to put up with me. Plus, there's all construction on that road. I had to stop for construction, and there's this big Chevy Silverado in front of me, and he's one of those guys that, like, when you stop for construction, it's going to be there. You're going to be there for a while. So especially when your car is overheating, take it, you turn it off, you sit back and relax, right? And just wait for the traffic to start moving before you start moving. This is one of those guys that he's always on the pedal. He's on the brake pedal. And like, he's just sitting there and he gets anxious. He starts moving. We're not going anywhere, but he just starts inching towards the car in front of me. So every time he does that, I turn on my car thinking that we're going. Finally, I learned my lesson and I just sat there and, let him coast but I couldn't see, like, normally when that happens, I could see the traffic around the car in front of me, but this big Chevy Silverado, I couldn't see the traffic. Anyways, make it home. Okay. I get into Chelmsford and the car starts smoking. Like, steam starts coming out. But I get the car into the parking lot. I open it up, and it's not the cap to the radiator that's melted. So there's a reservoir of radiator fluid that's hooked up to your radiator. It's like just extra fluid, right? Because fluid's always constantly running through the radiator. It gets cooled, and then there's like a reservoir. So it just makes sure that there's always enough fluid to go through your radiator. That's how important your radiator is. Well, the cap to this reservoir didn't melt. It was the part that sticks up, like that the cap sticks onto. Like, imagine like a plastic bottle, and the part you screw on, that melted. So it didn't need just the cap, it needed the whole. So the thing couldn't build up pressure. There was no fluid going through the radiator. I'm like, this goddamn Canadian Tire. Gotta stop taking my car there. They're terrible. I mean, but they didn't want to replace it, right? They saw that. They just put the cap back on it, and they said, it's going to take us forever to order a part. I'm waiting for a part to come in. I got to do it myself because nobody else is going to do it. Thank goodness I tried to learn a little bit about cars. Anyways, long story short, don't take your car to Canadian Tire.
I never will.
All right. Good. Take it somewhere else.
All right.
That's it.
Good.
That was a good story to end on, don't you think?
Exploding cars, sure.
We could look at more smoke in Canada if you want. Let's see what's happening. Look at that in Michigan. Hey, let's see what's happening over sauce here in Wisconsin.
Look what happens if you go down to the States? Can you go down anymore?
Oh, yeah. Look at here in Wisconsin. Look how easy sauce has it. He just has to breathe this little bit of air. Terrible air here. Just a little bit. It's only got one
Hey,
fire.
Jersey's not. Oh well, there's some smoke going on over there.
Oh yeah, Jersey's getting hit hard. Jersey and New York, those guys there are getting hit hard.
Oh, look at those little red circles going right over.
Right over Philly. Yeah, that's not good times for them.
Can you scroll over to where I am?
In Japan, I don't think they cover Japan. Not just this square over North America. A little bit of Mexico.
Oh, yeah, a little bit.
Just where fires are. They don't actually have a. This looks like the limit to their radar system. But there you go. Firesmoke.ca. I recommend it.
All right.
It's good fun. All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. Thanks for everyone in the chat who was Steven. Deke showed up. Rocket Sauce, of course.
Ryan,
and Dean.
Dean.
Yeah. That's all we needed. It was good. Good times.
Yeah, that's all.
Yeah. All right.
So we coming back next month?
I don't know. I don't know. According to the schedule for next week. Well, we could do one next week if we wanted to, according to the schedule. But I don't know what I'm doing on the next week after that. But we need time to watch stuff and have things to talk about and all that stuff.
Oh.
So,
I might watch another James Bond movie.
Yep. That'll kill a minute or two.
I can talk about miniatures. I bought a bunch of miniatures, but
yeah, we could do that. Yeah. Oh, I didn't even talk about D&D. Oh well.
Oh yeah.
We can't.
You didn't get stuck in a swamp or anything, did you?
So you remember I was saying like we were playing from that book?
Mm-hmm.
We got so lost in that book. There was so much story and lore that our brains just could not take in all that information while trying to learn how to play the game. So our dungeon master about a month ago, or like before this had to happen after we recorded it. Anyways, the previous episode, she just took the book and she said, you know what? We're not doing this anymore. I'm going to take the team. So she took us and she like basically transported us to a different area where we just kind of sort of been just doing some dungeon crawling bit.
Yeah.
Just like, because the problem is like, okay, your character could do a bunch of stuff, right? But you don't know what your character can do. Like when you're like, oh, you're given a situation and you're trying to figure out like what to do next. And it's like, I didn't know my character could do that or do this or whatever. There's a lot of information. So we're just trying to get used to just playing as these characters, right? And learning what they can and cannot do. So thankfully the dungeon master is very forgiving. Plus, like for instance, like when I was listening to the Flock of Nerds and Sean do that Dungeons and Dragons thing, right? So I created a character that would kind of fit that campaign that they were doing, because I imagine that's what a Dungeons and Dragons campaign is, right? So my bard character, Farin Furhole, can't. I made him so he would be good at like solving puzzles and getting at his, situations where you're talking to people and stuff like that. So he has like a lot of abilities, like to disguise himself, to influence a person to get information out of them and that. And then it turns out that we're like mostly just fighting things, right? Like golems, and we fought a baby dragon the other day. Yeah, took it apart, man. It was burning the. it was eating the people in our town, so it had to go. So we're doing like a lot of fighting in that. So a lot of the stuff that I can do, it's completely useless, right? I'm just doing the old basic attack kind of thing. So I need to switch up my spells and that. So I have to talk to our dungeon master and see if she will allow me to change up my spells, because we get in a fight and there's nothing I can do other than just try to hack people with this stupid sword. So like I have an ability to what's it called? Like you can influence another being to like fight with you, kind of thing, to fight on your side, right? But they have to be a humanoid. So the thing doesn't work on like wolves and stuff that we've been fighting. It's got to be like some sort of humanoid kind of thing. So
very specific.
Yes.
Lots of details in this game. I like simpler. Like come on, let's play.
Yeah.
Let's finish in 45 minutes.
Basically, that's what we've been doing. But there's a there's a good thin plot that we're following along. So basically, there's a dragon so we fought the baby dragon, and of course, there's a parent dragon that's now like really pissed, and he's like destroying our town. That's where we left off. Is that like there's this big giant dragon and we can't fight it yet. We're not powerful enough to fight it yet. So we have to figure out what we can do in order to get rid of this dragon, or he's going to just destroy our town.
Okay.
So it's kind of fun. Good times. All right. Anyways, we thanked everybody. That's it. You got a little extendo D&D talk at the end.
There you go.
Fandango. Lucky you.
Bonus content right at the end, just like a laser disc.
Yes. Or a DVD. Or a Blu-ray. Or a 4K. Okay, I'm babbling now. All right.
Yeah, you sure are.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
And